Okay, so we're going to go into our next author, Dahna-Esther Fearon. Can we give a warm?
Hello everyone, how are you all doing? Oh, how are you all doing? Good. So, I'm here, I'm Dahna-Esther Fearon, and I am the author of Transition, How to Get From Here to a Place Called There, and my second book, more like a journal, Big Sis, Little Sis, Girls Club Purpose Journal. So I was thinking, do I start with my story, or do I just start, with a few points? And I just thought, let me just start with a few points that empower you, and then I'll take you back to how I got to my place called there. So I want to first thank Carl for taking the time to invite me. He's worked so hard on this event, so thank you, Carl. So just a few points. I want to title this part of the talk, The Power of Vision. And I heard Carl talking about vision, and I thought, you know what, I feel like I'm in alignment. So before I go into who I am and how I got to here, I just want to give you just a few points, is that okay, about the power of vision, the importance of having a vision for your life. So the first and foremost thing, if you can see it, then you can access it. The mind has two abilities. Firstly, to replay the past, and the second is to pre-play the future. Your imagination is an indicator of the life that awaits you, whether good or bad, of course. What you are feeding your mind with is very important. Who you are surrounded by and who you lend your ear to determines the manifested results in your life. Adversity releases creativity. And for those of you, not all of you, but even those who are watching, if you are in trouble, I want to encourage you, you are not in trouble, you are in transition. Amen. Transition and life circumstances are the very transportation that takes you from your place called here to your place called there. Okay? So how did she get here? How did she sound so empowering? How did she get all these points to empower me in my place of vision and getting to my place called there? It was exactly, it was November 2014, so that's 10 years ago, that I was sitting in my living room and I suddenly had a moment of inspiration. I'm a Christian, I'm a minister, an ordained one at that, and it was a time when I was going through major hardship. I just graduated with a law and psychology degree and nothing at all was working for me. And I was thinking, okay, God, here I am, I'm unemployed, don't have anything to put to my name, what do I do? And literally, I had like an empty diary in my living room, and I just suddenly felt the need to just start writing. I started talking about my experiences, all the things, the hardship I was going through, and then what turned into maybe one page turned into the whole book. And then I realized I ran out of space, I had no more books to make notes in, so I literally took my laptop. And I remembered from November 2014 to January 2015, I've written the first 10 chapters of this book. So what is transition about? The whole purpose of transition, for those of you who know, I think we use that word very lightly. I don't know if you've ever had conversations and you've heard people say, oh, just in transition. And I remember saying, what is transition? I hear that word being used all the time. I was only 24. I'm thinking, what does that mean? Let me take the time to research the word transition. And so as I started to research the word transition, not only did I find it wasn't just a spiritual word, it's actually a psychological word. And so what you will find when you do, I hope you do by this book at the end of today, you will find that transition, it is a three-stage process that every human being will go through. And when you think about transition, I started to research the life cycle of an eagle and of a butterfly. And you're thinking, how could you possibly compare your life to that of an eagle and a butterfly? Let me take you through the journey, and then I'll quickly tell you about. I promise you, you're not in class, but I just feel the need to share this with you. Is that okay? Okay. So an eagle goes through a process called the metamorphosis, and what this eagle does, it gets to about 40 years of its life. And it decides that, you know what, my wings aren't working that great, my beak's not working that great, I'm not able to fly as high as I used to be able to. So what this eagle does is it goes to the top of a mountain and it goes through a 40-day process called the metamorphosis. It starts to beat its beak against the rock until it falls off. And it waits patiently until it grows back. Very gruesome, I know. Then it starts to pick out its talons, its feathers, and it waits there naked until its wings and talons grow back. But something amazing happens after this process. Not only does the eagle gain strength, it also gains the ability to fly even higher. And it actually gets an extra maybe 50 to 60 years added to its life. And so it was in that moment as I started to research, because again, my hardship, the life circumstances that I was going through, it started to lead me to these moments of inspiration and things to study. And so I felt in my heart, in my mind, and as Christians say, I felt it in my spirit, that, you know, this is a journey I'm about to go through. Okay, I don't have a beak, I don't have wings, I don't have talons or feathers, but I sensed that I was going to go through one of the most challenging seasons of my life. But I also had the power of vision. I started to have visions of where I was going to end up. And so with that revelation that I had about my life and the journey I was about to take, I was actually located in Nottingham. I was located in the city of Nottingham. Nothing was working for me. The bills was going high. I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to give up my apartment. It was a beautiful apartment, very big at that. I gave it up and I said, you know what, there's nothing here for me. And there was nothing in London. At this point, I didn't know what I was going to do, but I did something crazy. I told my siblings, I told my friends, I'm about to pack my suitcase and go. That they know, where you going to go? I don't know. I just know I need to get out of Nottingham. So on February the 24th, 2015, I packed my one suitcase, one handbag with £9 to my name. I got on a train and I came to London. I said to one of my friends, look, I'm about to make a crazy decision. Are you with me? She's like, are you crazy? We're all talking about you, we're gossiping about you, you're crazy. But just come. I came, I was on her sofa for 7 months. Everything I tried to do in that 7 months, I failed. Every home I was about to rent, it just kept falling through. And I was like, God, why is it that everything I'm putting my hands to just keeps failing? So literally for 7 months, I tried to get a job, nothing was working. But something unique was happening. Remember, I started talking about the power of vision. So in that 7 months, I kept having this recurring vision. I kept seeing the skyscrapers in London. So, you know, Canary Wharf. Well, how Canary Wharf looks now. When I moved to London, Canary Wharf did not look like that. So I kept having visions of skyscrapers. I kept seeing the Gherkin, kept seeing the Shard, and I'm just like, okay, that's London, but what's that got to do with me? And you know what's crazy? As the years went by, this recurring vision kept happening between 2012 and 2015. So for 3 years, I just kept getting these aggressive visions every night. I would go to sleep and I would just be looking at the River Thames and these. So I'm thinking, what is going on? And I remembered it was 2016 when I had a disappointing interview. I was called to an interview, and as I got off the train in Stratford, they text me and says, oh, we never received your confirmation. I said, that's impossible. You invited me to the interview. They said, well, as a result, we've cancelled it. And I thought to myself, okay, another punch in the belly. This was November 2016. So we're talking 2 years of back-to-back disappointments and failure. And I heard a voice, because I'm a Christian, so I know it's the Holy Spirit, said, I want you to get on the train and go to Canary Wharf. And I'm thinking, really? I just failed again. How are you going to tell me to go? Why am I going to Canary Wharf? As I got off the train in Canary Wharf, I'd never been to Canary Wharf before. And as I went up the escalators and I saw all the skyscrapers. And I was like, oh my God, this is my vision. I've been here before, even though I've never been there in the physical. So I walked around and I was a bit, a little bit happier. And I decided to do a video on Facebook Live called Let It Go. And I started talking about how it's important to just let go of all the disappointments and be open to the new opportunities that were about to come. Hold on to that. Put a pin in why I just told you about Canary Wharf. About 1 year later, in fact, 2 months later, a door opened and, I studied law and psychology. So my landlady, who I just about got my apartment with, suddenly fell behind with the rent. There's a reason why I'm telling you my struggles and my whole business. There's a good story at the end of this. And she said to me, I don't know what it is about you. I can't seem to throw you out. I'm supposed to evict you, but I can't. My husband has a law firm, and I've just spoke to him about you. I don't know about you. I've never heard of a landlord doing that. But this landlady, she was like, you know what? My husband has a law firm. Go and see him tomorrow. He has a job for you. And so from there, January 2017, I started working as an immigration caseworker, and I was winning cases and stopping people from being deported. So about 6 months later, I felt the urge, it's time to shift. In fact, let me not lie, I didn't feel the urge to shift. An agency who I applied for a job with back in 2014, they had held onto my account for 3 years. They said, oh, we're just seeing your account. Now, bearing in mind, between 2014 and 2017, I had applied for over 2,500 jobs, and I kept getting turned down. I would go to chambers, I would go to the chambers on Fleet Street. They were like, oh my goodness, you'd be an amazing lawyer. Let me take your name. You are impressive. The fact that you come all the way from Nottingham moving to London? We would love to have you. Never heard anything from them. And so this agency, they finally called. They said, we've had you here for 3 years, but we've never found a job for you. We've now found a job for you. So I'm like, oh my God. Because at this point, I realized that even though I studied law, I didn't want to be a lawyer. And so much to the law firm, the head of the law firm's disappointment, I said, look, I'm going to take this job. It's less than what you're doing with me, but I feel like I need to take it. And so I took it. Unbeknownst to me, thinking it was a permanent job, it was just a temporary role. So after 1 month, I'm back in the same situation. I'm thinking, God, what did I do? I've gone and made a mistake again. So from August 2017 to about mid-October 2017, there was no job, no opportunities, nothing. Then my phone started to die. There's a reason why I'm sharing this with you. I remembered when my phone just about came on, I got a call from the same agency. They said, we have just received a call from a role in government and we think it's perfect for you. Remember those skyscrapers I kept dreaming about? So I took the role. It was a temp role in human resources in this major government agency. And I said, okay, I'll take it. Now, what was amazing, I took the job, life seemed to be turning around. At this point, they were located in Victoria. So by January, there was this role that came up as executive support to the CEO. And I'm thinking, that's too big for me. I don't, and one of my colleagues says, have you thought about it? I said, I don't know, maybe. And then I finally made the decision. I stepped out by faith and I applied for the role. I'm coming down. I promise I'm not going to bore you. It's going to end good, I promise. And as I applied for that role, within literally about 2 weeks, I was supposed to start, if I was successful, in 1 month. But instead, they said, you were that good, we want you to start by Monday. I had the interview the Wednesday. I started the job the following Monday. So I became the executive support and EA, executive assistant to the CEO of that government agency. Now, this is where it gets interesting. A couple months later, they said, oh, we're here in Victoria, but we've decided we're going to move to Canary Wharf. Do you remember 2016? When I had suddenly, when the Lord, as I said, a Christian, Holy Spirit said, go to Canary Wharf and I want you to look, because this is not the end. This is just the beginning. I'm about to show you, I'm about to take you. This was 2016, so we moved to Canary Wharf in June 2018. So 2 years later, I stepped into the reality of those visions that I was having all those years leading up to that moment. And so we were on the 10th floor. I remember we were on the 10th floor and I was surrounded by the skyscrapers, just like the vision I had. Because in the vision I had, I was always looking out the window and looking around. I could see the River Thames, I could see everything. And so I was in that position for 4 years. Why did I share this with you? I want to encourage you, wherever you are, power of vision is so powerful. I don't care, and yes, I do care. You know they say, I don't care, I don't care. Whatever it is that you're going through, as long as you can see the future, as long as you can see the end, there is nothing that can stop you. There is nothing that can hold you back. From the moment I worked there, I was, privileged to be even at that, because that agency was very key, even during the pandemic. So a lot of you, when you watch BBC News or Sky News, you will see my CEO. I'm not going to tell you who she is, because I'm sworn to secrecy. But I was behind a lot of those scheduling. I was I was the main person who was in contact with number 10, the Prime Minister's office, MI5. Oh, we don't put that out there. MI5 and all the other global leaders across from Japan, China, all over India. I was the woman that they contacted. I remember during the pandemic, I was cooking at 9 p.m. at night, and a call was coming in from Washington, D.C. I'm thinking, why would Washington be calling me at 9 p.m.? Oh, we've been asked to call the CEO on behalf of President Donald Trump. So it was my job to log back onto work and connect his office, his people with mine. So I was a hero for like a week for doing that. But the point I'm saying is that where you are is not where you will end. The power of vision. And so I think I've been talking a lot. So I'm going to read just an excerpt from my book. And I think I'll probably read chapter 6. Okay, that's not chapter 6. Okay. So there's a chapter that I titled Defining Moments. Defining moments are a point in an individual's life where their essential nature or character is revealed or identified. Defining moments often reveal the true character of an individual when going through pressure and extenuating circumstances. Transition is filled with moments of conflict which lead to defining moments. Conflict is the catalyst for change. So the more conflict you encounter, the more change is happening in you. Defining moments cannot be created, or one cannot manipulate oneself into defining moments. Defining moments choose you. Transition is orchestrated by God to take us from the promise to the possession of that dream. Defining moments are those decisions that you make at crucial points in your life. Here's the end of my talk. Any questions? Any questions?
I've been out of work for a few years and I've been trying to buy, and I wasn't getting those rejections. I'm not religious, so how can I see why, like, setback? I mean, but what can I do to this keep going, isn't it?
Number one is rejection is your greatest gift.
Okay.
Rejection, I always tell people that rejection is just an indication that the opportunities that you're going after is too small. Rejection rejection is direction. It is a direction saying that there's something greater. I remember that day when I was rejected from that job, when they told me, oh, we never saw your confirmation, so we're not willing to meet you. And I remember hearing, because I'm a believer, and I heard you're aiming too low. And I'll just be frank with you. I kept getting rejected by so many jobs. I thought, if I could just get a cleaning job, I just need to be able to pay the bills. Yeah. So that job I was going to was a cleaning job. Yeah. And I remember hearing the voice saying, you're too big for that. In fact, I could hear my landlady. She said, what are you doing looking for? Who are you? Yeah. You've done a law degree. Why are you're aiming way below, your potential. So I told people, and I've been invited, and I said, people said, really, did you really get rejected by 2,500 jobs? Yes, I did. There's two things. It's either that there is a job with your name on it, or you're supposed to have your own business.
Okay. All right.
So yeah. So I think just going back to the to the drawing board and just looking at what is it that you have to offer. What solutions do you have? If you're in a place where you're still getting rejected, maybe you are the solution to someone's problem. What are your passions? What are your ideas? And maybe there is a group of people that need to receive what you have to offer. So maybe there isn't a job out there for you. Maybe you are the job, and you're the one who's supposed to give someone else a job.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can you repeat what that rejection? I love it. I have to have it.
Oh, so rejection is an indication that the thing or person that you're going after is too small. It is just direction to something greater. You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Yes.
Within your role when working with the CEO,
Yes.
were there any times where you were asked to do something but you weren't 100% sure of how to approach that thing?
Oh, yes.
So what did you do, or did you ask for help, or did you go away independently and research how you would
That is a very good question. So I remember in the beginning of my role, I had a director who was my mentor. Because he was in government for most of his life. So he took it upon himself to mentor me. And I remember him saying that literally, you are in a very, I don't know if he was doing it to me about my ego, but he was like, you know how powerful you are. You are working for one of the most powerful people after, the Prime Minister. And so he would always say to me, give me key points of what I needed to do. One of my greatest principles I learned working in government, and I learned this the hard way, was the power of delegation. Though I was working with one of the most powerful person in that organization, I realized that I didn't have to do everything myself, that there was a whole, there were divisions that were assigned to help me serve them better. So I remember one of my assignments I had to work on was the CEO's international trip to India. And I was busting my head over, because the thing is that most of these countries that I was arranging for them to travel to, I'd never been there, but I still had to give them from A to Z, where to go, where not to go, what was awaiting them. Literally every minute had to be accounted for. That was part of my role. So though I'd never been on the street, I still had to find the postcode, where they need to get off, where they need to be positioned. And I remembered when I had to sort out the CEO's trip to India, the simple thing is visa, I didn't know how to. I thought, okay, I know how to do this. I've done this for myself. But it was really, really hard. And so, to be honest, it took me failing at that to learn that it was after I failed at that, my colleague said, well, there's a whole department that deals with that. So after that failure, I then realized, okay, I don't have to do this. Okay, they've handed it to me, but now I'm going to delegate it to someone who's actually getting paid to do that. So yes, rather than researching the role, I just learned how to hand over and delegate it to someone who was more qualified to do it. But then there were moments, like during the pandemic, where we had 5 minutes to make decisions. So obviously, you know how COVID happened, like how it transpired between. We were kind of told about it in government from January 2020, but you guys more so learned about it February to March. And so I remembered meetings getting cancelled with high-level officials at number 10, and then being told you only have 5 minutes to arrange this. I don't know who I'm arranging the meeting with. Who do I go to? And everyone's panicking. Who is it? I said, okay, go to the email, scroll to the end of it, then you will find their signature, then you'll find the number. So yeah, it just, every situation was different. And so based on the situation, then I had to then apply the right strategy. I hope I answered your question correctly. Yes, you're welcome. Anyone else? Yes.
I love the idea of transition. Would you say there's multiple transitions that people go through? Let me explain why they're equal. When do you know you've reached a particular point? Is it just when you hit that vision, or do you go beyond that?
You go beyond that, and I'm glad you asked that question, because when I write this book, some people, they read the end of this book and they think, you know, I'm understanding. And I said, no, that's just phase 1. This just covers 2012 to, I would say, 2016. This just covers 2 years of my life. But what has transpired in my life from 2017 to 2024 is still ongoing. And every time I think I've arrived, something else breaks down. So even now, where I currently am, I'm not in government anymore. But I'm in a job that is 10 times better than that role, and I'm getting paid way more than where I was before. So what I always encourage people, the worst thing you can ever do, the key to failure, is conforming to the level that you are at and becoming so comfortable with the last success. You've got to keep going, because transition, life is about transition, it's about changing. And how do you know when it's time to transition? It's when everything around you stops working. Opportunities start drying up, friendships and relationships you start losing it. And you realize, okay, something's going on. So then that is your indicator. And I talk about that, I think in chapter 1 and chapter 2, is that things just start drying up. Those are the stage 3. You know, you've got spring transition, you've got winter, and then you've got autumn. So autumn, we know, leaves start to fall off, so that's when things start falling away. Then winter, everything is dry. And then spring, things just start growing again. So I think those are the 3 phases that you will go through throughout your life. You stop transitioning when you die.
Transition is not transitioning.
Sorry?
Transition is also a word for death.
Sorry?
No, I'm saying when you said when you stop transitioning is when you die, but actually when you die, the word transition is used for when you die.
Yes, so that's what I mean. That's like the last stage, you know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, in life, transition is about movement. So moving from one place to the next.
So
you're constantly moving, absolutely. Yes. Anyone else? I think my time is probably way overspent. Okay?
Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
Wow. Okay, so, well done, Dana. Enjoyed that. Inspiring. So, we've got Davis Williams coming up next. Give it up for Davis.
I'm a little bit flued up, guys, so let me just get some fluid. Please bear with me. But while I'm doing this, could you please look to the person next to you or behind you and just say, like, you look beautiful today. What do you guys do? I said beautiful. I said beautiful. Don't forget to say thank you as well. Alright, so I've got some of these here. I'll take this book here. This one here. Alright, how's everyone doing?
It's fine.
Yeah?